This weekend, two men, one workout, one winner. Let's play Beat the Trainer. Beat the Trainer is a head-to-head fitness competition between Ernest and you, the insiders, versus Wayne, the trainer. Remember, this competition is modified and scaled to create an equal playing field. So who will win? Can Ernest beat the trainer? Can you beat the trainer? Find out this weekend. Stay connected on social media for more.
Yeah, boy.
Them's fighting words.
Hey man, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this opportunity. I've been waiting for it.
Oh man, this should be fun. So not only is this something that, between me and you, we can get a little interactive with this. So as stated, the insiders are in on this, meaning that once the workout is released, we expect you guys to give it a try. Put forward your best effort, send us your time, post yourself doing the workout or after the workout, and see what type of results you get. So this should be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
It'll be a good time. We'll announce exactly what the workout is a Friday, and then we are going to get to it this Saturday or Sunday. We'll take a look at the weather, but it won't matter. It won't matter what day it is,
Yeah. Yes. Rain or shine, baby, be there. Be there or be square. Make sure when you post your videos, you tag Stronger Inside Podcast.
There we go. Yeah. So this should be fun. And if you're not following and you're just listening, then just follow. Just push the button. And this is something that we're going to, depending on the results, keep going, maybe bi-weekly or something like that. But this will be a good way to keep us going. There's a phrase I have, perspire to inspire. So we have Ernest. He's chasing his goals, and I have the motivation behind me to not get beat. So it's not just by him, but it's by any listeners out there. So it's me versus Ernest, me versus the insiders, and me versus myself. And Ernest versus the insiders. So we'll take a look and see where we'll see who ranks where.
Right. Definitely. And if you're a listener and your friends aren't listeners, but they are active and they like to get out and work out, have them compete too. Have them try it out also, and make sure they follow and listen to the podcast as well.
There we have it. So let's get back to the podcast.
Who?
You're now listening to the Stronger Inside Podcast, where we break down all things regarding health, fitness, and wellness to help you improve your mind, body, and environment. And now, your host, Wayne, a.k.a. Workout with Wayne, and Ernest, a.k.a. Mr. 100 Pounds Down.
All right, welcome back to Stronger Inside Podcast. This is episode 8. We are moving right along.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this is episode 8, and we are coming off of
7 was frenemies.
Oh, frenemies.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so we got a brand new one. Ernest, how's everything going on your end?
Man, we're doing well over here. We are enjoying life as much as we can in quarantine, but we're attacking this fitness thing.
Well, things are opening up.
Slowly but surely. Yep, they are.
Yeah, life is slowly getting back to normalcy, but can't stop the hustle, can't stop the grind. Keep going after those goals, and I see that's what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Trying to attack mine, motivate others.
All right.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Okay. I think today's episode helps some folks out who are moving in the right direction, or they feel as though they're not. So let's get to it. What we got today?
Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Understanding your body weight and the scale.
Okay. That's a good topic right there. The scale has become pretty much an enemy to some folks. And we need to really take a look at what the scale does, understanding our own body weight and how our body fluctuates. If we can be more knowledgeable in that aspect, if we can be more knowledgeable about what's going on, we can control our emotions and not have too many highs, too many lows. That is a big part of understanding your body weight, understanding the scale, where people have issues with these scales because they don't understand why things are happening. They don't understand what's happening. And then that takes me back to that phrase I use, either you're uneducated or you're unwilling. Well, most people, when they're having issues with the scale and struggling, it's because they're uneducated. So the role of today, is for us to educate. And then there are some people who, again, they already are educated on this, but there's just some other issues that are affecting them and pretty much prevents them from having a more positive or neutral even relationship with the scale. So let's get into that. The scale is just a tool. That's all it is, right?
Yep.
I mean, think of everything else that you use to measure. Whether it be
tape measure.
Yeah, your height. I mean, think about that. Your height and your weight. I mean, nobody hides their height for the most part. There's some people who may be shorter and they don't feel great about their height. There may be some people that are taller and they slouch their shoulders. But for the most part, if you ask somebody how tall are you, they have no problem telling you, right? You're like, hey, I'm 6'1", I'm 6'2", I'm 5'8". A lot of times people may adjust their heights a little bit. The interesting part is the height you can't control. There's women who wear heels, or people wear boots or whatever. But for the most part, you can't control it, and that's why you're probably more at peace with it. But with the scale, that's something that you have pretty much full control over. So a lot of us have used food scales before.
Right.
The food scale just tells you how much weight is on this scale. So really the issue is, what is weight? And when we put a piece of salmon on the food scale, it's not an issue. And we go, all right, that's 8 ounces. That's 6 ounces. We don't go, oh, that's a fat piece of salmon. Right?
I never have done that.
Right. So, but for some reason, when we get on the scale and we have a lot more going on than a piece of meat cut off another organism, we lose sight of that. So let's take a look at what we are actually weighing when we get on the scale. And really what it is understanding your body composition. Because there's a lot going on in the human body. The scale is not a measurement of fat. The scale is a measurement. There's a combination of things. So before we get into that, Ernest, when you hear scale, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
A unit of measuring my body size, how much I weigh. I hear scale, I think of the doctor's office. I hear scale, I think of it more positively because I'm on that trajectory.
Okay. How did you used to think of it? How did what
I didn't like it.
You didn't like the scale previously?
I didn't like the scale. I don't want the scale. So the scale reminded me of where I was at, what I was doing.
Okay.
Did
you avoid the scale?
I did. I avoided the scale probably to my detriment in a few situations, because if you have let's say I hurt my finger, right? Let's say I hit my finger with a hammer and my finger's throbbing and I probably need to go to the hospital, go see a doctor, get it checked out. You have a hurt finger, you go to the doctor, they're going to say, all right, Mr. Hughes, come back here, let me get your weight. Why do you need my weight for my finger? my finger weighs a couple ounces. Fix my finger. I don't need to get on the scale for you to fix my finger.
And that's something that used to bother you.
It used to bother me because I was like, why? Like, because when you get on the scale, it's right there. The number's right there. You see the number. The nurse sees the number.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid it, right? And so if I don't have a scale in my house, I can avoid it.
Yeah.
But if you have to go to the doctor and they make you get on that scale, it's unavoidable. You're going to see that number. You're going to see where you're at, and that's when you have that situation where you're educated or unwilling. So now they're educating me on my weight. They're making it known exactly what that number is, and I'm just, actively not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things, those mental things in my mind.
Okay. And it was,
that's where mental things happen. Mental things normally happen in your mind. That's that in-depth analysis.
So really, I mean, it was a source of a little bit of maybe anxiety or.
It was definitely a source of, a little bit of an anxiety or.
Got an emotional response out of you.
Right. Because it's just like, it went up. I know it. I vaguely remember what it was last time.
Yeah.
And now that second number is a 5. It used to be a 4. So, now I'm understanding that I put on some weight.
Okay. So that's how, and there's a lot of people like that probably listening, or, they've been in that place before. So where it's just something that is a nuisance, something that is bothering them. So how do you feel about the scale now? Like, what are things that come to mind now when you hear the scale?
Progress.
Okay.
So we weigh in twice a week. So we weigh in on Friday and on Monday.
Yeah.
And so what that does for me is that allows me on my Monday weigh-ins and my Friday weigh-ins, from Monday to Friday, I track kind of my progress from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, the work week. And then on that Friday to Monday time frame, I'm tracking how well I maintain that over the weekend. And so I think those are key dates for me, my Friday mornings and my Monday mornings, because I'm excited to kind of get on the scale because I feel like, I've progressed.
Yeah. Because you did the right things. You did the right thing.
Right. And I put forth the effort.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes the scale may not show as much effort as I put into it, but I understand that I worked, I sweat, I got better at things when it comes to lifting weights.
Yeah.
I got stronger when it came to my cardio activities, my endurance activities.
Well, you were consistent. You know that one, the stuff that you've been doing has got you the results you needed. So it's been working for the past 18 months. It's been working. So why would that change this week if your weight were to plateau for a little bit? You have the experience. It's almost like an athlete that has game time experience says, it's the fourth quarter, we're down 5. It's okay. We'll be all right. And I think that's where you're coming from with that, to where you have that experience. And you touched on the Monday, Friday thing. That's a tool that I use. It's not to shame your weekend. It's not to make you start the week off disappointed. It's to do the opposite. And it's for you to really learn, am I, we used that verb before, am I weekending? Because you'll see it. And you've seen that, you saw that early on. If you were weekending and you were pretty much Monday, you had a weight, Friday, you seen a small change. Then the next Monday, you were right back to where you were the previous Monday. It seemed as if the Friday weight was erased. And when and a tactic we'll talk about later, I'll go more in depth, but I don't want you to compare Monday to Friday. I want you to compare Monday to last Monday. And that's how you keep a realistic view of weight loss or weight gain, or just viewing a trend. You don't want to compare it to that same week or especially the day before, which happens a lot of times that we'll get into, but we want to compare that from a whole 7 days. So when you're looking at your Friday weight, don't look at Monday, look at last Friday.
Right.
And that's going to give you a better idea of what you're really doing. Okay.
Mm.
Cool. Yeah. So let's get back to what we are actually weighing when we get on that scale. What is our body composition? So let's start with this: bone mass or skeletal mass. Your bones. This is where the big boned people come in, right?
Big boned.
Oh, like I said, I want to see them X-rays.
We out here, man. That ribs is thick out here, boy.
Yeah, we'll see about that. So yeah, that your bones weigh. Everybody's been to a museum. They've seen the fossils, the dinosaurs, caveman, all that stuff. Your bones weigh. So that's weight right there in itself. And if you get an in-depth body composition scan, there's some other companies out there. I have a body scanner. You've used it once, Ernest, you and your wife, to get a better understanding. And that's a service I offer to my clients so they can understand what we're talking about today. You have your skeletal mass. Then we have lean mass, which would be the muscle that is on the skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
That has weight. So we're not even talking fat yet. So then let's get to body fat that would be on top of that muscle. So we have two types of body fat. We have visceral body fat. Visceral body fat is stored within the abdominal area, and it is around your important organs, your liver, your intestines, all these things that are in that abdominal area. That is not the type of body fat that you want. If you're accumulating that type of body fat and maybe seeing a certain type of body type to where maybe somebody's like more of like a apple type. Some people are naturally, their body fat is spread out more, meaning that you can see that they have more proportion in terms of their arms, their legs, extremities, and things like that, to where the body fat is not just all in the abdominal area.
Mm-hmm.
That's a more healthy person. And that is a person who could say, well, I am a little thicker or big boned or whatever, right? But that person can still make those changes and get leaner.
Right.
But the way, and we talked about this before in another episode, you can't control where your body fat is stored. That is genetic. So for somebody to have less visceral body fat, so take two people, let's take two women that are 30% body fat. If we take a look at somebody who has less visceral body fat, then she's going to be in a healthier place than the person who has skinny arms, skinny legs, and all the body fat just in the abdominal area.
Right.
That's going to be unhealthy, and really you're going to be more at risk for some health concerns. So understanding that what is it, the dad bod,
right?
Where the guy's got arms that have a little bit of muscle, but then that belly is there, and that is where the visceral body fat is. So then we have the second type of fat would be subcutaneous body fat. That'll be subcutaneous body fat. And this is just under the skin. This is what's going to be more spread out. This is when somebody says, hey, I want to get my arms toned. Oh, I want, want my legs to be toned or whatever that is. We have less of that. And that's more of a harmless body fat. But those are the types of body fat that people are concerned with. And so that is where the weight comes from as well. Then most importantly, what a lot of people forget is water. Think about how much water I'm having you drink, and I remind my clients to drink. Say at a minimum, it is pop quiz. Minimum
half your body weight
in ounces. There we go.
Correct.
Yeah. And that is so your body can stay hydrated. I mean, your body, your organs, your muscles, there's water all through your body. Up to 60% of your body can be water. So keep that in mind. So that's why we have some of those fluctuations that we'll go into. So you have skeletal mass, your bones, you have muscle mass, your muscles, you have body fat, then you have the water. And those things can change. So for you to just be so stuck on, if somebody's having issues with the scale and all they think about is fat, when they see the scale, that is part of the uneducated part of looking at it. So That's why just keeping that in mind, and understanding that will allow you to not get too high and not get too low emotionally, because the water can change. I mean, that is something that can really change day to day, hour to hour. So let's do this. You said there were some reasons why the scale caused you a little bit of anxiety, or caused you to want to avoid it. With some other reasons, maybe, not necessarily for you, but I think really the scale is a reminder, like you said. You said the scale is a reminder, and it's a reminder of, I'm not doing the right things.
Right.
Because I'll use my perspective. I've never had an issue with the scale. And what I mean is, I really don't look for anybody to have a positive relationship with the scale. It's either it's a non-factor and you don't care. You just the same way you get your height measured, or the same way I would, pick out some shoes, like you said, your shoe size. I just get on the scale, and it is what it is. And I've had fluctuations, or maybe been like, oh, all right, maybe this is not going, whatever. I've had fluctuations in the scale, but what at the end of the day, because of the way I've always viewed myself, my body, and the understanding that I do have of it, it's never been something that caused the emotional response, and it's never been something that I've avoided long term or anything like that. So really, even for myself though, the scale does remind me that either I'm doing the right things or I'm doing the wrong things.
Right.
For the most part. Because we associate the scale with all these other things, and we're going to talk about some other ways of tracking your success, not just using the scale. But yeah, it is pretty much your reminder. You get on the scale, and rather than it saying this weight X amount of pounds, it's saying you haven't been consistent. You're not living up to your commitments. You're not making the lifestyle change you should be making. It's saying you are indulging and maybe binging on things, and making poor health decisions, poor food choices. That's what the scale is really telling you when you have an issue with it. It's not a number. Did you ever feel like you were caught up? Did you ever feel like the number mattered?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The number mattered because when it was too high, I was told I needed to lose weight. So then it was very rarely, especially early on, where I was given direction on how to do it. It was, this number is too high. This is the chart. These are what the numbers are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, if this is the number 3XXX, whatever, and I have to get down to 178 or 180, that seems impossible to me. And so it was one of those things where it was like, this is the number, and this is what it needs to be.
Let me ask you this: if you were to be whatever the healthy weight was, the chart was telling you, right, at the doctor, and it was 180, 190, or whatever, right, and you had the exact same body, would you feel the same way, or would the number matter?
I don't think the number would matter. I don't understand the question. So if I had the exact same body as far as like the body fat percentage of if my body was the number on the scale, on the chart.
No. So if this is what I'm asking.
All right.
If you had the exact same, at the time you had your body that was pushing 400, right?
Yeah.
And you stepped on the scale, and the scale said 190 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have been okay with it? And your doctor gave you a high five and said, okay, you weigh 190. Would the number have mattered?
It would have been I would have had a positive response to the number.
Why? Think about all the things that you talked about, that in terms of what the weight was doing to you. Why would the number on the scale make you feel happier when you still had to fit in the Mini Cooper, when you still had to buy extra t-shirts. All those things are still occurring. But the scale, you just happen to be, let's just say maybe you're less dense, right? So you're like, what was that? What's that cartoon? Kirby, right? You're just as visually there. You're wearing the same clothes. You have the same performance level. It's just the scale says 190. That would make you feel better.
Okay, I didn't understand your question. That's why I asked you. So boom. Okay, so I'm in the same body, but for whatever reason, this body, the size of the body is only weighs 190 pounds.
That's literally what I just said. But yeah.
Rewind the tape. So the answer to that question would be, I would be no, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have made my life any better. No. Especially like the story I told a previous episode about getting in that Mini Cooper and squeezing in there. So I understand. I can understand how, you know, that number kind of plays a trick, can play tricks on you mentally.
Yeah.
But in the moment, if I got on the scale and the scales told me that the authority figure in the room said that the number on the scale is where your body is supposed to be, mentally I can think, okay, well, I'm doing something right. But physically, I would know that there's definitely still room for change.
Well, that's interesting, because I think that means that we can be swayed, and our focus is not on, for the majority of people, the focus is not on health. The focus is not on feeling better. The focus is not on being honest with ourselves, because a number should not control you emotionally. A number should not validate you, right? That's the word I'm really looking for. Validation through a number. There's no number that can validate your hard work. There's no number that can validate you in terms of your health. There's no number that can say that, okay, you're a good person, or you're a trend can, or you being in a certain zone. Yeah. But for you to say that this number, somebody can trick me and say, I have this low number and now I'm feeling better about myself.
Right.
That's scary, because it's like, you didn't earn it. You know, we talk about that a lot. You know that the day before you drank a gallon of sweet tea and went to McDonald's. So why? So what? The scale says 190.
You're right.
You don't feel good, right? So I just like to use those type of hypothetical things to where we need to focus on what's important. And for me, like I said, to go back, having relationships with the scale, either you have a negative relationship with the scale, is which we want to improve upon with this episode, or you have no relationship with the scale, which means that you just hop on there, you see what you see, and you can keep it moving. It doesn't matter. It's just another data point. Right. So, and that's where I am, and I've pretty much been that way. And what it does is I'm keeping my habits in mind as well, just like you. And from the clients that I see that have the most success with the scale are the ones who it doesn't bother them. And that doesn't mean that they were born that way. It doesn't mean that they didn't do work on themselves. They didn't educate themselves. They didn't sometimes it just takes courage to just say, I'm going to weigh myself this much, or finding a good mix. Maybe I'm not going to weigh myself as much. Mm-hmm. But the clients who have the most long-term success when it comes to weight loss are the people who they just do it. They don't avoid it. They don't obsess over it. You'll be surprised. I wish I had a montage of clips of just prior to people getting on the scale. And you know, it's not in public. There's an office at my gym, whether it be a consultation, whether it be a check-in for a client. And it's like, all right, let's get on the scale. And then there's this yeah, there's this big sigh, or there's this type of excuse that comes out. And it's like, it's not for me, because why would you have to tell me that, you feel bloated today, or, this isn't a quote unquote good week, or whatever the statement may be?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not judging you.
Right.
I think you're just saying that out loud to yourself.
It's that B rabbit mentality where I'm going to say it before you have a chance to say it, right?
I do live in a trailer. My friend Cheddar Bob did shoot himself in the leg.
That's exactly what it is. It's that
8 Mile reference. 8 Mile reference.
Yeah, I wanna get it out before you can even think about it. So before I get on the scale and you see that my weight is up 2 pounds since the last time we trained, or my weight is the same. Well, let me tell you why before I step on the scale.
Yeah.
And because I know what it is, because since we've been working out, I got the scale at home. So I got on the scale before I came here.
Yeah.
And my whole drive here, I was thinking of things I can tell you as to why my weight is the same.
Yeah. And the best thing you can do is just do it. Say, I haven't been consistent. I mean, it really, even that, I honestly just don't say anything. Seriously, because now you've made it an issue. You've given it power.
Yeah.
You have to explain and you have to do all these different things. It's like, why? Just get on the scale. It's a number. We all know the old song with Aaliyah and R. Kelly. It was AJ Nothing But a Number. Probably not the best time to be making a Robert Kelly reference, but weight is nothing but a number.
Right.
That's all it is a number. Now, your habits and what you're doing in your body composition, that's more than a number.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get further into that, but just the weight ain't nothing but a number, right? So
scale ain't nothing but a thing.
so really, oh man, I'm about to make a BMI over 18 joke, but won't do that. Can't get canceled.
All right, man. Let's go.
Well, it's 18.5, so
made it. You made
it. So for you to conquer that mentality and understand that the number, that's all it is, and there's more to it. There is the body composition that we talked about. So really, with all those and we've talked about this before, the verbalizing things and saying, just giving things power and having negative self-talk, that doesn't help. It doesn't help you in the moment. And that's what can bring you down. And when somebody's in front of me saying these things, again, that is their inner voice. They're giving me a peek into what's going on upstairs in between their ears, because that's stuff that they're saying to themselves that they're actually saying out loud to me.
Right.
The clients who have the most success, they are ready to face the scale. They are ready to face themselves and be honest. And they don't have a huge emotional response, meaning that somebody can say, oh yeah, well, I am bloated today, but I had a good week. Or, oh, I just got back from vacation. Let's see what I got. All right, time to get back to work. That's a big difference than dragging your feet and slouching your shoulders. And when the number comes up, either there's an excuse or a long silence. Like, you shouldn't look like Eeyore when you're getting off the scale. You should look like Tigger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that's really what it should be.
So you shouldn't be looking like Eeyore, feel like Tigger, but y'all here looking like Pluto. Yeah, looking like Winnie.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking like Winnie, Winnie had a lot of visceral fat.
Yeah,
I think that was built up from, I guess, eating all that honey all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, where that disappointment may come from, that Eeyore mentality, that Eeyore look, one of two things. You are feeling that you have just faced your poor decisions, and now this is confirmed that you weren't doing the right things. Or second, you're uneducated, meaning you don't know what weight loss looks like. So let's get into that. Weight loss should look like always use this example, a bad investment, a bad stock, they fluctuate. You've never seen a straight linear. I mean, if you see a straight linear going down, you better sell, right? That something's going down, literally. So, but for the most part, there is a trend. Drops, slightly goes up, drops, slightly goes up, drops, slightly goes up, right? And you can look at your chart on the app, right? The Workout with Wayne app, and you can see that that's what your weight looks like.
Absolutely.
So you have to have an understanding that is what your weight's going to look like. You are not going to lose exactly half a pound a day or 0.2 a day. This is not going to happen because of the things that we just discussed in terms of your body composition, especially water. We'll talk about how water is manipulated, but so just get that through your head right there. Realistic weight loss will fluctuate. You need to evaluate the trends. And that's what I said earlier, Ernest, with you comparing Monday to Monday, not Monday to Wednesday. And then Thursday you're upset. And then Friday you're at happy hour and you're like, F it, or forget it. You're saying forget it because this is a waste. I did everything I was supposed to do Monday through Wednesday. I gave this thing not 48. I gave this thing 72 hours. Why am I not ripped? It's a waste. It's a waste of time.
But that's real. That's what people really are thinking that, man. That they're saying, I ate clean for 4 days straight. I drank my water. I worked out. I sweat. I haven't sweat like that in 2 years. And I got on the scale and it says the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Forget it. Let's order pizza tonight. Let's go out. Let's do this. And then throw it all away. Not knowing that 2 more days you'll break through and you might see something, but you got to keep it's a consistent thing you have to do in order for your body to really to change. Because if you take something away from your body for a short period of time and then reintroduce it right back, your body will be, oh, whew, okay, we're good. I thought you stopped eating that cheese. Thanks for bringing it back to me.
Yeah, and it's not. And we'll explain. I'll go and explain the actual reasons why that does happen. But yeah, you're right. You're right from that, and that you have experience in that, and you can share that because you have to be patient. You have to be patient, and you cannot compare day to day weight. I'm gonna say it again. You cannot compare day to day weight. One more time. You cannot compare day to day weight. People in the back, you cannot compare day to day weight.
I hear it. Yep.
So it's that simple. And if you can accept that, then you can put yourself in position to be more consistent and to taper expectations. Realistic weight loss is 1 pound to 2 pounds per week. If you are on the heavier end and I know you've seen some bigger jumps when you first started, Ernest, and there's reasons for that. But from just a average consistency standpoint, you should not be looking to try to lose 5 pounds per week. And usually it's that first week where you change those habits and you see that kind of big jump. I call it a big whoosh, to where it's just like you see that drop, and that is not something that is going to be consistent. If you're comparing yourself to some of these weight loss shows, Biggest Loser, and that's not typical. You should not be trying to lose 3 pounds a week, 4 pounds a week, trying to lose a pound a day, getting upset when your weight plateaus. Patience, and don't compare your weight day to day. Now, this is important. You have to track. If you are tracking your weight, that's why I don't have you weighing yourself every day, and that's why you are doing that Monday and Friday thing, Ernest. So go back. If you weigh yourself on Wednesdays, weigh yourself, compare that weight to last Wednesday and then the Wednesday before that. And that would allow you to see a trend, to see if you are doing the right things. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm bloated, blah, blah, blah. Well, you weigh the same you weighed 3 weeks ago. This has nothing to do with bloat. You're just not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
A common mistake that can throw you off is not weighing yourself at the same time. You should weigh yourself first thing in the morning. Wake up, get yourself together. Uh, you shouldn't be changing your clothing and one day have sweatpants on and the next day just if you comfort of your own home and your underwear or whatever, just weigh yourself first thing in the morning. Your body has done a reset. If you've got, what you will notice is when you do this, that quality sleep will allow for you to burn more fat, and you will see a bigger change in your weight the better your sleep is.
That's something that I've definitely noticed.
You've noticed that?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Especially if I worked out, had a good workout that day or evening or something like that. I go to sleep. Now during the stay-at-home orders and these quarantines and things like that, there's definitely more time to sleep. There's not such an urgency to wake up in the morning and get ready for work, 2 hours before you got to be there. So you can wake up 30 minutes before you got to turn your laptop on. And so the ability to get more sleep, you wake up, I can kind of feel, because I carry most of my weight in my stomach, in my abdominal area.
That visceral body fat, yeah.
Right. And so I can wake up in the morning, I can feel my
feel
side.
Lighter.
Yeah, I feel lighter. I feel my sides are kind of coming in and kind of coming together, So in the morning and in the evening before I go to bed, I can feel, because you probably just ate not too long ago, and so you're feeling a little heavier, and you can kind of see a difference if you look at it.
Yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning, your body resets, as you were saying, and so everything kind of comes together, and it's a little bit tighter. And so you kind of wake up in the morning, you feel good. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about how you look, how you feel.
Good.
And that's why weighing myself in the morning is definitely the key. I tried to do, because I learned, learning from my own mistakes, weigh myself in the morning on Monday, and then the following Monday I might have forgotten. So I just said, let me hop on the scale at night and be like, ooh, not feeling this. Yeah.
Consistency.
Right.
You have to be consistent with it. And so when your body has hit that reset in that morning, that's when you want to get up. That's when you want to weigh yourself. You should have less food in your system. Your body is a little bit dehydrated because you've been asleep for 6 to 8 hours. So your body is slightly dehydrated. You should be able to, you wake up, if you want to go urinate, if you got to do a number 2, go ahead. But I wouldn't wait to do those things to weigh yourself. And I've seen that as well, to where somebody's so worried that they're trying to
manipulate the scale.
Yeah, like every single day, because they don't want to have that small fluctuation. They want that linear. They want that linear success so much that they have to be 0.1 less than yesterday. I need to be 0.1 less than yesterday every single day for 6 months. It doesn't work that way. So you just get on the scale in the morning, weigh yourself, and it's over. And if you do that, whether it be every morning, twice a week, and you do the right things, you will eventually get to where you want to get to. In the morning, you haven't added anything to your system. So if you're weighing yourself in the afternoon, your water is being manipulated, whether you've drank more water, whether you've introduced sodium, whether you have food in your stomach that's just sitting, and that's going to throw you off. So really just get it done in the morning. So let's talk about why somebody's weight would fluctuate. So let's say you're doing all the right things. You're weighing yourself in the morning. You are eating clean. You are working out. Because what happens is when somebody goes from a less healthy lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle, they do believe that they should have a linear drop. It should just be every single day. So even with myself, when I've done these things, it's not going to happen. So these are some of the reasons why. And you kind of touched on this earlier about the food. So I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth with this, right?
All right.
So we've talked about how carbs have been villainized, right? And there's a keto and there's Atkins diet where a lot of people have had success. There's just, I'm going to cut out carbs. They say these things, right? So what happens when you do that, your body has glycogen storage, right? So your body stores glycogen for energy purposes. So I don't want to get too off topic. What happens is, so let's say you haven't ate that day. Where's your body getting energy to move from? It's from a storage of glycogen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you eat more carbs, you have more glycogen, and you can have 3 to 4 grams of water that can bond to each gram of glycogen. So that's why somebody who is eating high amount of carbs, they can have more water in their body, which would lead to more weight, right? So if you start an Atkins diet or you start keto or something like that, and you cut out carbs, now your body has less glycogen, which is going to you're going to have potential to have less water in your body, and that's why you see that big whoosh that first week, because now it's not fat. You didn't lose 5, and that's where people say, "Oh, I know it's water weight. It's just water weight," but that's where it comes from. So when somebody has a hiccup in their diet, or they reintroduce things after having short-term success, they will think in their head, I've gained all my weight back, I've gained all my fat back. And that's where that yo-yo comes from. But really what happens is they've started eating more carbohydrates again, and now they have more water in their body because it's attached to the glycogen.
Mm.
So really just understanding that that's part of that. And that's not to say that carbs are bad, again, because if you're weighing yourself from last Wednesday and comparing it to this Wednesday, then you're going to see a trend going down. So just understand that glycogen is going to help manipulate the water as well. Another one that most people are familiar with is sodium. So, and I've had this happen to where I'm eating pretty clean, and then I want to do a stir fry or something, and I use low sodium soy sauce, but hey, maybe I want a little bit higher. Maybe some other things I had in the day may have had some sodium as well. On the average American consumes, the average American consumes 3,400 milligrams of sodium a day, which and that is double what's recommended. So when you maybe have been on the low end of that and hitting the actual recommended dosage, then you go high. There you go. Your body is going to hold more water once again, and then you're going to have water retention.
Right.
So really, it's your kidney's job to push out the sodium. So if it takes a while for that to happen. So until that happens, your weight could fluctuate to where it could be sodium, it could be water storage in terms of with the glycogen, because of you eating more carbohydrates or reintroducing more carbohydrates. So these are reasons why your weight can fluctuate even if you're doing some of the right things. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
And you can see one of the places you can see water manipulation the most is combat sports. When people fight, they have to be close to that same weight, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you be, those boxing names always crack me up. Super feather, lightweight, to 127-pound guys about to go fight, but there's super feather, lightweight guys. But anyway, they have to be within that weight. And what happens is when two opponents are matched up, they don't always have the same body type. So one guy might be more muscular than the other, and another guy might be closer to 127 naturally, and the other guy might not be. So the bigger person will find a way to maintain as much muscle, because this is a performance-based sport. All sports are performance-based, not about how he looks. He's going to maintain as much muscle as possible while getting to 127 pounds or whatever they need to get to, and dehydrate himself and manipulate the water so that at the weigh-in, they're both the same. But then you've seen this before, when people go to the actual fight night, because the weigh-in is usually a night before, right? Or the day before. But when they actually go fight, one or both of the fighters 8 pounds heavier, 9 pounds heavier, 12 pounds heavier.
Right.
So if they can manipulate their water like that in one day, why are you upset about your scale being 0.5 off the day before? If the human body can do that, just keep that in mind. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if anybody's done wrestling in high school and you see those guys running with trash bags and all that stuff, it's because they had to manipulate water weight to where they could be quote unquote the same weight. But usually if you took a body composition of all the competitors in that same weight class, you would see more people. Somebody might have more muscle than the other. One might have more fat than the other, but they just happen to weigh the same on the scale. And if you're in a performance, if performance is ideal, or if you're judging success by performance, the more muscle is going to be beneficial, right?
Correct.
And that's why we've used examples in the past of looking at your body fat percentage and saying, I weigh, 215, I weigh 220, and then somebody else weighs 215, 220, and we look completely different.
Right.
So when I get on the scale, my 215 doesn't bother me. Somebody else gets on the scale, their 215 bothers them. It has nothing to do with the number. It has to do about how you feel about yourself, the habits you've done, and then really taking a look at yourself. So understanding that water is a huge part of your weight. And if the boxers and the MMA guys and the kickboxers and all these people are manipulating their water within, close to double digits at times within 24 hours, then you should be okay with yourself with a half-pound fluctuation, a pound fluctuation, from a day-to-day standpoint. That is something that you just have to deal with because you're alive. You are a living, breathing organism, and you're always changing. When I'm talking about the number, usually men don't have a huge issue with the number, right? For the most part. I know you did, you were on the higher end, but even then you said it didn't really bother you that much,
Right. I just didn't want to do it.
I'm gonna put this PSA out there. Ladies, men don't care about the number on the scale. You don't.
No, you don't.
It doesn't matter because let's take somebody who men and women would say, oh, that woman has a very healthy, fit body, right? Let's take somebody who's maybe had a lot of upkeep and really done well. Let's take somebody like Angela Bassett, right?
Okay, yeah.
She is somebody who has aged gracefully. She's taking care of her body. If she's had a surgery or two, I don't know. I can't tell. But at the end of the day, I don't know her personally, but guess what? I can tell she probably does strength training. I can tell she probably has a clean diet. Fair to say, right?
Yep, I would say so.
If she got on a scale and it said 220 pounds, would it matter? It wouldn't matter. If it said 300 pounds, it wouldn't matter. Her clothes would fit the same. We would just be like, man, she's very dense. Maybe she has a comic book or Marvel people out there. Wolverine has the adamantium bones.
Right.
I mean, if you got adamantium bones and you're heavy, then yeah, maybe you could weigh 300 pounds and look that way, right? And this is kind of the inverse of what I asked you earlier. She wouldn't care. So as a man who looks at a woman is not worried about the number on the scale. You look healthy, clothes fit well, all these other things, right? That people will give compliments on, right?
Right.
Ladies, if you're not doing the right things and your number on the scale was your ideal number, right? Whatever the ideal number is, but you still were in an unhealthy look, right? Kind of like we said, you're just less dense, maybe. Would you care? Would you carry a picture around of your scale and show people? Be like, I don't care what you say because I weigh this much. So who cares what my dress size is? Who cares if what my appearance is and all these other things? I weigh this much. It wouldn't matter, right? So really what I'm saying is for men and women, and more so because I just see this with women to where they think that men care about the number. the number doesn't matter when you're doing the right things. There's no cutoff number that's, where somebody goes, oh my God, you weigh that much? Because if somebody says, oh my God, you weigh that much, then maybe they just don't have an understanding of how much, what weight looks like.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because if you are 300 pounds, you look like you weigh 300 pounds probably, right?
More than likely.
So somebody's not going to be surprised when they see the number, right? So that's just a little tidbit I just want to put in there, because it's you're making it a thing when you hide it or when you're trying to avoid it. And I'm not saying walk around with a t-shirt with your weight on it, but you should not give it power, and you shouldn't want to hide it, and you shouldn't want to make it an issue, because whatever you weigh, you probably look like you weigh that for the most part. Now, if you're on the fit side and you've developed muscle and all these other things, you're probably going to weigh more than what people think. And if that's the case, who cares? Because you've probably built up enough self-esteem, you've built up enough confidence, and you just don't care. And you'll see that with athletes. And I've had friends and they try to guess how much I weigh and stuff like that. And because I'm a lean person, somebody might be like, oh, you weigh 195, you weigh something like that. It's like, no, actually I'm, above, depending on where I'm at, I'm above 210, I'm 215, I'm 220. And it's like, oh, because in your head, you associate that number with body fat. And it just happens to look in a different package. So, hey, if you're on the fitter side, don't worry about the number on your scale, And usually those people don't. I said, those are the clients that have had the long-term success. They're not worried about it. They check in and we keep it moving. So,
yep, and that's where I'm getting to. I'm getting to the point where the scale days are just another thing I got to check off the list. It's no longer an issue. I appreciate the knowledge that I glean from it when I step on the scale. I understand if it doesn't change. I understand what I did.
The knowledge that you what?
Gleaned. That I gained from it.
Gleaned, is that was used correctly?
Yeah.
Knowledge that you gleaned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Glean. I'm gonna look that up. Go ahead.
Google it, baby. So I understand.
Extract from various sources.
Boom.
Okay.
I'm out here VCU educated.
All right.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. So I understand that. So when I look at the scale, I can say, okay, I know what I did last week was off the beaten path. I know, it was my birthday, or we celebrated this, or we did that. And so I indulged a little bit more than I would normally have, but boom, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it this week. Or, I know I ate good last week. I know I ate clean. I know I did my workouts. I know I pushed myself, and look at the scale. I'm down 0.5. We rocking. We good. Yeah. And so either way, I know what I put into my body and what I put into my workouts. And so stepping on the scale rarely surprises me with the number, whether it's up or down. Yeah. I'm rarely surprised.
Well, guess what? Most people are rarely surprised. They just make it. They start acting. Right. Yeah. The Academy Award goes to drum roll. Like come on.
That's funny.
You know what you've been doing. You're not surprised. And there's a phrase I want to see when I set a goal for some people. Or they set a goal for themselves, and I'm here just to hold them accountable. A lot of people will use the word hope or we'll see. And I'll correct them and say, no, if you do the right things, you'll get there. There's no hope. You don't just randomly get to a goal weight. It's not, because now you're taking it out of your control, right?
Right.
Oh, I hope I get there. Okay. Do you ever do that when you're driving? Hey, here's the address. I'll see you at 5. I hope I get there. What? What? Do you not have control of your car?
Right.
You have a Tesla? Like, what's going on? Like, you got the coordinate, you got the address,
Right.
you have maps, Google Maps or whatever, you're gonna get there. Nobody ever says that.
I hope I get there.
I hope I get there. What? Sounds like you're not in control of your vehicle.
Right.
Your body is your vehicle. So if your goal is to get to whatever that goal weight is, there should be no hope. It's gonna be, I'm gonna get there. It might be a little traffic, but you'll get there, right?
I never thought of that. That's funny.
You might run into a little traffic, which is out of your control. You might have to hit a back road, or you might have to sit at a red light, but you're gonna get there because that means you trust the
process.
Well, not the process. You trust the directions.
The instructions.
You trust the directions. You don't feel like the streets are gonna shift on you. You know, if I drive down this street, take a right here, take a left there, I'm gonna be there. And that is what a trainer is here for. A program is there for. You, with your own experience in the past, Ernest, you can say that I know that the streets aren't going to change on me, and I'm going to get there.
Right.
So really, look at it that way. You just don't hope. 5 pounds down. I hope I get there. What? All right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if you have other ways of measuring your success, then the scale just becomes one of those things. And it's not as important. So pictures, take pictures of yourself. What happens is when people don't like the way they look, they take less pictures. Maybe they start only taking pictures from the neck up. They don't want to be in pictures. They want to get cropped out. All these different things start to happen because they don't like what they see. But take a progress picture for yourself. You don't have to post it on, it doesn't have to be your profile pic on Facebook.
Right.
Take it for yourself. And then as you progress and as you stay accountable, hold it up, compare it, and you should start to see differences, small differences. Within my app, there's a front-facing picture, a side picture, and a back picture, because we do hold body fat in different places. Maybe it's not going to start dropping from your belly as fast as you want, but you'll see your legs starting to look more toned. Maybe you start reducing body fat in your arms and then your back, but all these different places in your neck before the places that maybe you want immediately. But when you start to see that success and those changes, again, you're not looking at the scale. You're going, okay, that's just another, say it plateaued this week, but my back looks different. Now you have another reason to continue doing what you're doing.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were talking to me when you started this segment, because I was a guy who wasn't really trying to take pictures. I was like, I see what it is. Nobody else needs to see what it is.
Yeah.
Like that, right? But taking pictures really does help you understand that even though your weight is coming off slowly from a scale perspective, but from a visual perspective, there's a lot of change going on.
Yeah.
Your clothes are fitting you differently. Like you said, you might not see it in your stomach as much as you see it in your arms or your legs. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, where my arms are getting a lot more toned and muscular, and my legs are.
Yeah, I see them delts, man. I see them delts popping in that push-up pick.
Hey, we out here, boy. But my stomach has greatly reduced. It's a funny story. So when I took my last set of progress pictures, I posted them because I was shocked. I was shocked at the change, and I wanted to kind of share that with my friends and family.
Yeah.
And so my niece actually saw it and was like, I didn't know my uncle's back was like that. like it was crazy, but it was just one of those things where they are proud of my willingness to kind of lean into this fitness thing and be healthier for myself and for them, because I'm the only boy. It's my mom, my locally, it's my mom, my two sisters, my niece, my wife, and my son. And so I I am the man for them. So if something happens to me, you know, they're affected. And so I
Yeah.
need to make sure that I'm around so I can, you know, be there for them as
Yeah.
much as I can be and be healthy for them.
Yeah.
And so her saying that was like, I didn't know how quote unquote bad it was without, you know, you saying that. But I'm so proud of the progress that he has made and
Yeah.
where he's coming from. So, you know, it's great.
Good. And, you know, kind of what we talked about before, whether you have the conversation with her or not, you've basically told her that there is a standard that you have for yourself, and kind of maybe even a standard that you may have for your family. And she can draw from that and say that, hey, my uncle does this, my uncle did this before, or my uncle believes in health and fitness. Maybe I should too.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have to have that conversation. You're just showing through your actions.
Right.
And people see that and soak that in. So that's good, man. Another reason for pictures is you see yourself every day. And if you don't, you're not going to see the small changes if you see yourself every day. But imagine you starting, and people have done this before, probably somebody can relate to this. They started a weight loss journey and they didn't see somebody for 2 months. Now, in their head, it's only been 2 months, or maybe it's been 6 weeks, right? They don't think they've had major changes. But then that person who hasn't seen them in that period of time goes, hey, you look different, or hey, you losing weight, or what's that? You know, they point it out. And it's because they basically have the before and after in their head.
Right.
But you see yourself every single day, and it's so gradual that you don't think you're changing as rapidly. So by having the picture, it's going to allow you to almost have the stranger's perspective of seeing your weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
And we know we talk a lot about weight loss on this show, but even muscle development, muscle gain. If anybody wants to build muscle, you have to do the exact same things. It's just the other way around. You still should be taking pictures. You still should be seeing your weight increase slowly. It's going to fluctuate going up, right? It's the same thing with building muscle, but just because so many people can relate to weight loss, 42% of the population, like we talked about, we talk about that more. So really just understanding the importance of pictures. Please don't shy away from them. Not taking pictures is pretty much the equivalent of not getting on the scale. And when you're not taking pictures and not getting on the scale, you're more than likely gaining body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Measurements. Another thing, to make sure that you are losing weight in the right places. You don't want to be on a crash diet to where you're just losing muscle and losing water. And you want to take a look at and say, is my waist dropping? Are my arms getting smaller? Are my quads, my thighs, whatever you want to say, are these things changing on my neck? And I have a body scanner, and I do that periodically, and it gives me my measurements, and I can see whether it be my stomach, my neck. I can, even if I'm working on building a certain area and my shoulders are getting wider, and I'm able to look at those measurements to really say, these are the numbers behind what I'm doing. And the numbers don't lie. The numbers ain't going to lie to you.
Right.
So do your measurements as well. You have to be consistent with that. You have to make sure you're measuring in the same place. But if you're going to measure yourself and keep a journal, or come see me and get a body scan, whatever it is, you are able to have another way of measuring success without worrying about the scale. Pictures, measurements, performance. You touched on this before. Am I getting stronger? Can I run longer? Can I squat? Can I get in better positions? Maybe when I do my stretches, by having less body fat, I can get into some of these positions better. That's a thing.
Absolutely.
So if you can measure yourself through performance as well, and if you play a sport or you do anything type of cardio, cycling, running, whatever, measure yourself through that. So if you can do those things and then look for those trends, if your pictures are looking better, if your measurements are going in the direction you want, if you're having better performance, then the scale's probably going in the right direction, right?
Right.
And then the scale doesn't have any power anymore. It's just another way of measuring your success. So if you want to remove power, if you want to remove power from the scale, put some other people around, rather than it be a dictatorship of just the scale. Now you have a
democracy.
Yeah, now you have a democracy, because now multiple voices are giving you an opinion on your weight and on your body, I should say. So yeah, get away from just only having the scale. You want to measure yourself. You want to take pictures. You want to measure performance. So let's wrap this one up. I think if you can be better educated on understanding your body composition, understanding how water affects your body, understanding how sodium affects your body, how understanding glycogen storage can affect your body, your weight will fluctuate somewhat. But when you are comparing your weight, I'll say it again, do not compare day to day. Do not compare day to day. Compare that same day to the same day of last week, that same day to the same day of 2 weeks ago. And that is where you'll find your trend. You cannot manipulate your body through exercise and clean eating and just have a linear straight drop, or even if you're building muscle, a linear uptick. It's just not something that can happen. You have to accept that. Those are the rules of the game. Right. And when you accept that, then there's less emotions involved. There's less, there's less crying and excuses and understanding. So anything you want to add to the scale and understanding body weight?
I think the way we kind of wrap this up was perfect. I think understanding that performance is a major factor in this whole fitness journey. If we can perform better, we're getting better. So allow that scale to work slow if it's working slow, but be consistent, keep going, don't give up just because the numbers aren't going down as fast as your mind is telling you it's supposed to be, as fast as your workout partner may be losing weight. Don't compare yourself to them either. I think that's another thing we get wrapped up in.
Yeah.
I've been working out with this person. We've been doing the same thing.
Great point.
They lost 2 pounds this week. I lost 0.2 pounds this week. This thing we're doing isn't working for me. That's not the case. There's other factors involved. Perhaps there's biological factors involved. But just keep working, keep pushing. Can you do more push-ups? Can you do more sit-ups? Are you getting better? Are you as fatigued when you're done doing those exercises? Can you run farther? And that's a measurement in and of itself. So focus on the positive things that are coming from your workouts and not simply on the negative things that are coming from your workouts.
Exactly.
Your mindset is going to get you further in this game than anything else.
Yeah. Yep. I think you brought up two good points. When you said if it's moving slowly, you have to understand what slow is. If you think something is slow, but if you think something is slow, but it's the actual pace, it's average pace, then you can be thrown off. Mm-hmm. Again, 1 to 2 pounds a week is fast.
Right.
There's people who've done it faster, but in terms of if you lose 8 pounds in a month, and the majority of that is body fat, that is great. You're moving in the right direction. So if you think that that's not enough, then you need to understand that is how it works. You're not going to lose 20 pounds of body fat in a month. It just doesn't work that way. Your body doesn't work that way. So really having a realistic expectation of what weight loss is. And then Ernest, the other thing you said, you can't compare yourself to other people. You're in your own competition. It's you versus you. Mm-hmm. But the most important part is your body's different than the next person you're comparing yourself to. And we see this a lot within relationships. I train couples, I train friends. And for the most part, in the couple situation, whether, marriage or spouses, And a lot of times it's, a woman and a man, and they're comparing success, or they're comparing progress. On average, the man is much bigger than the woman. So if the man within the month has lost 6 pounds and the woman has lost 3 pounds, but he weighs 80 more pounds than her, then they're kind of on the same track. Does that make sense? You can't compare yourself to a much bigger person and think that you're going to lose the same amount of weight as them. So the same reason a smaller person consumes less than the bigger person would be the same thing. So, to use example, you and your wife, Ernest, you guys don't have the same calorie goal.
No.
And what happens is weight loss only occurs when what? Pop quiz.
When you burn more calories than you consume.
Yeah, you're in a deficit. If you burn more calories than somebody else, right? Let's just say, Ernest, you being super active, you exercise. Let's say you burn 4,000 calories in a day, right? Yep. If you enter a caloric deficit, and this is why I got on you so hard about under eating early on, you probably could get around day to day on 2,000 calories, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're not going to feel like you're going to die. You're not going to feel like you're so hungry you can't make it, right? No, a 2,000 calorie daily deficit is huge. And that's why I don't really want you to be that far in it. But let's just say, and a lot of people do that unintentionally, right? They just look to eat less. That means you have a huge deficit. Now let's take a smaller woman who the amount of calories they burn in a day, 2,500. If you eat 1,500 calories, you still might be hangry, right, even as a smaller woman. Mm-hmm. So now you get to the point where, I'll see these 1,200 calorie diets. I mean, you should not be eating less than 1,200 calories unless there's a medical reason or there's a really specific outlier reason, right? So what's the difference between 2,500 burn and 1,500 consume? 1,000 calories. So the smaller you are, the smaller your weight loss is going to be.
Because that's the smaller your deficit.
Yeah, your deficit.
Healthy, right?
You can't do 2,000 calories in a day deficit. Because if you could only burn, depending on how active you get, and let's say the woman is burning 2,500 calories, she going to eat 500 to get a 2,000 calorie deficit?
Right.
No. So you can't compare yourself to somebody bigger. A Miata can't compare themselves to a Suburban or something. You just can't. That's why the gas tanks are different. So really, just run your race and understand that you're going to get there. So it's a good point, Ernest, to where it's about staying focused within your lane, not really comparing yourself, especially comparing yourself to somebody who has a completely different body type than you. A lot of times it's not just, I'll hear women say, well, it's not fair. My husband lose more weight because he's a man. Yes and no. Usually what happens is the man has more muscle. And the person who has more muscle is going to usually have the faster metabolism, which is going to allow for them to burn more fat quickly. So that's why it's really important for women to focus on developing muscle so that they can get that done. So with that being said, the scale is not your enemy. The scale is not your leader. It's not the person, the one all be all. It should be a part of your board of directors. And you should be taking pictures and measurements and taking in good comments from those around you, and really making sure that just the scale is just one part, one voice, not the end all be all.
Absolutely. We
cool.
Good. Yes, sir.
That's been episode 8, Stronger Inside. Until next time.
We out.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Stronger Inside podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, then subscribe. Make sure you stay connected with us via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Stronger Inside Podcast. Remember, every like, comment, and share spreads the message of health, fitness, and wellness.